Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
I'm Dr. Sky and would like to welcome you to the Dr. Sky Experience here at Talk Radio 77 WABC, the crown jewel of radio, as we like to say, the iconic 77 Talk Radio WABC, beaming proudly out of New York City, the nation, the world, and the cosmos. As we continue with March 2024, get set for a series of important updates on what might be the biggest astronomical event you've seen in some time, a partial and or total solar eclipse across a good portion of North America. But speaking directly and proudly to our New York City audience here on WABC, I want to remind you that the totality path will pass up the upper portion of New York State. Now, if you're in the New York metro area, what kind of an eclipse will you see there? We'll get set for an eclipse that begins at 2:10 p.m. local time on April the 8th. Then, that particular object, the moon, will start moving across the sun, maximum at 3:25 p.m., in which 91% of the sun will be covered up by the close moon. We call it a perigee moon. The sun will be some 43 degrees high in the sky, and then everything goes in reverse to about 4:36 p.m. That one goes into the history books. But why not make a journey to the northwestern part of New York State, or even, for that matter, straight up Interstate 87, as you pass Albany and head up toward the direction of Plattsburgh, New York. Just to give you a few examples of times that you can experience totality. In Buffalo, New York, at 3:20 p.m., there will be an eclipse of totality of 3 minutes and 45 seconds, the sun 45 degrees high. In Rochester, New York, you'll get to see, with hopeful clear skies, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And as you move into areas like Watertown, New York, a total solar eclipse with hopeful clear skies, keep praying, as we move on to talk about a 3 minute and some 37 second eclipse. And if you really go north on Interstate 87 up to Plattsburgh, just a little bit south of the Canadian border, not quite as far as going up to Montreal, Canada, at 3:29 p.m., you'll get to experience 3 minutes and 30 seconds of totality. So what I'm saying in this particular episode of the Dr. Sky Experience is geared to our New York City region, New York, Connecticut, and of course, areas of far western New Jersey. So if I were you, and I'm not, I would make some plans of getting to see that, because you won't see another one of these eclipses for at least another 375 years, at least here in that portion of the Northeast. Now, let's also be honest, and that's the only thing we are here on this particular podcast. Weather conditions are so important. Now, we, as a group, our company, Dr. Sky Incorporated, will be down in Junction, Texas, for a very special event. Now, you could join us there, too. It's called the TexClipse Music Festival. You can learn more by going to the TexClipseMusicFestival.com website, April 6th to the 8th in Junction, Texas. Now, why Junction, Texas? Because that location, we've scoured the internet, and I'll have some links at the bottom of this podcast to help you about all of this with the eclipse. We've scoured the internet. And once that path of totality, or the dark of the moon, goes from, say, northern Mexico into southern Texas, the weather conditions around Junction, which is a little bit to the left by maybe 100 and some miles of San Antonio, has at least a 60 or 65% chance of clear skies. But the farther you go up that eclipse path, as you move up into the areas of the United States, as the shadow band goes up into the far portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, it goes into southern Illinois, Indiana gets it, a little sliver of Kentucky, Ohio gets to see a great eclipse, almost downtown Cleveland, and then New York State, the home of WABC Radio, gets a number of locations in which you can see totality. But here's the truth. The weather conditions at that time of the year maybe only give us a 25% chance of clear skies, but you never know because of this incredible El Nino weather pattern that's happening this year. Maybe Texas will be clouded out, and the Northeast will be clear. And after that, the eclipse moves into the area of Vermont, touches a little sliver of New Hampshire, and goes on to the state of Maine. So be prepared, and that's exactly what we're asking you to do here on WABC with the Dr. Sky Experience. Don't forget about the solar glasses. Now, you can get these solar glasses a number of ways, but one of the ways we're going to promote here is to go to this website, TSE, which stands for Total Solar Eclipse, the number 17, solareclipse.com. So it's TSE 17, solareclipse.com. You can get the solar glasses there and also at a number of other great locations that we'll be promoting in our maybe twice a week update on this eclipse. So if you have any questions, you can send me an email. It's drskyshow, DRSKY show @gmail.com. Be more than happy to, of course, follow up with you, answering your questions. This is a great event. And don't forget, children, many schools will be actually having the day off. I think up in New York State, there's going to be like almost a day of absence, like you had a snow day for this, because it's such a big deal. So again, I'm Dr. Sky, proudly here on Talk Radio 77, WABC, with the Dr. Sky Experience. And again, you can join us in Junction, Texas. Now, the town there is only about a city of 3,000 or 4,000, but yes, they're expecting maybe hundreds of thousands, and I'm being very conservative. But at the bottom of this podcast, I've added a link called Dr. Sky Eclipse. And in there, you can find so much information on great links about the eclipse, how to photograph the eclipse, what do you need to know. But once again, if you were just running around and walking around Manhattan or the New York City area, remember, this eclipse, April 8th, Monday, begins at 2:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, maximum at 3:25 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and ends at 4:36 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, in which 91% of the sun is covered by the moon when the sun is 43 degrees high. So again, if you want to see 91% and say you're satisfied with that, you can simply drive straight up Interstate 87, as I'm sure a lot of people will be doing, and maybe going up into the western part of New York. More eclipse answers and more things you can find out here, as we're proud to join John Katzimatidis, owner and operator of WABC Radio and Red Apple Media, every Sunday on the Cats Roundtable, and appearing on, of course, Cats and Cosby as time permits, with updates on everything from the realms of astronomy, space, aviation, and weather. And then every other week, should we call it bi-weekly or bi-monthly, on this great radio show with your host, Frank Morano, on the other side of midnight. And then Wednesday mornings, every other Wednesday morning, 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we change the radio show's name, with Frank's permission, to Cosmic Conversations with me, Dr. Sky. Dr. Sky reminds you what? Always remember to keep your eyes to the skies. I'm your navigator on the highway to the heavens, a highway that has no tolls. So sit back and enjoy this particular ride as we expand people's minds on this great radio station. Well over 100 years of great programming, the most powerful radio station, at least as we know, and probably a few others out there, but this, the crown jewel of radio, Talk Radio 77, WABC, Clear Skies.